better than,
We can start it.
yeah, sure.
Oh, here she is.
Hello.
All right.
Hello.
Hi.
Haven't started yet.
Good.
Yeah, we were just about to.
Excellent.
We were waiting a couple of minutes just for you.
Oh, perfect. That's what I needed. Back-to-back meetings today.
Yeah. Yeah, me too. I just came from another one.
Did you see this is my last one? Though?
Yes, we did. And I didn't bring your gold watch. I'm sorry.
Right? 10 years of service.
Wow.
Yeah, I won't be a Mansfield resident anymore.
She must have started on this committee right about the time I started with the thing one.
Yeah,
I've been there 10 years and a couple months now.
Hart was the one who convinced me to.
Yeah. Well, he's still around, but
Yes.
as the
Krog.
executive director of CROG,
Oh, really?
Capital Region Council of Governments. He's been there for a couple of years now, huh?
At least,
Yeah.
it seems like it.
His
Yeah.
daughter's out at UConn, I think.
Is that right? Oh
So
my,
big,
how time flies.
right?
Yes.
All right, well, so it's 6:05. Let's call the meeting to order. Thank you all for attending. Introductions. So let's go around the table for everybody. So that we all know who's everybody. I'm Lon Hultgren, and I'm the chairperson.
John Carrington, Director of Public Works, staff rep.
Hemant Gupta, I'm the member of this committee for, I don't know, 4 years probably.
Yeah,
Or maybe
in a
4
while.
years.
Seems like more than that.
Yeah, Christine Nowak, I'm a member, resident member.
Alex Bernier, resident member.
And Sam, you there?
I'm here. I just
Yeah.
Sam Bruder, Town Council, just listening in.
Great,
Appreciate
thank
the
you.
work.
And Al?
Al Fatoni, Planning and Zoning.
All right, thank you. So we do have a quorum. So we can act on the minutes, which were sent out as a draft. Any corrections or additions to the minutes of January 10th?
No, I think it's all.
Hearing none. Motion to approve them would be in order.
Motion to approve?
Right.
And
Second?
Alex.
That was Alex, okay, all right.
Yeah, and the baby. Sorry.
Amendment. Bernier. Approved. Oh, all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay. So moving to the first item on the agenda, which is older business. I did call Philip Johnson, who is the WRTD administrator or not administrator, but operations guy in this area. And he gave me a couple things to report. One is that you'll recall in the last 3 or 4 meetings, we've reported that there were going to be changes in the schedule, WRT schedule in and around the town, but that they hadn't been implemented yet. And then we had another meeting and they still hadn't been implemented. So he told me today that the DOT had finally answered their final questions and the route changes should be in effect by June or July. So I don't even remember what they were, but they had something to do with combining some of the runs, having a few more buses serving certain areas and a few less buses serving certain areas based on the ridership data that they had. So it didn't sound like it was going to be too awful. He also said that the sign upgrades at the bus stops in Mansfield had been done and that the stops now should have new signs for, the bus stops. And that WRT had applied for a grant to improve bus stops all over town. He said he had applied for 8 bus stops. That maybe is not all of them. I don't have a direct count. But things like lighting and things like a concrete pad in front and things like better shelters and things like that. So he has, and he wasn't sure whether they're gonna get the grant or not, but it was part of a 30 bike stop, bus stop, grant request, which includes stops at Yukon, because WRTD serves both the town and Yukon by the same, they're different routes and different buses, but it's the same WRTD people that are doing that. So that's the best I can do for what's up to date for transit in the moment. Okay, so the next item on the business we've talked about before is the complete streets planning and implementation. And we've talked for a while about maybe trying to get some of the complete streets activities filtered down to maintenance. Because the way the policy is written now, maintenance is exempted from complete streets policies. But in discussing this and looking at this, we figured that there are some things that are done that could be still part of a complete streets program. So the question is how to try to get those identified and discussed with the people in the DPW that do the maintenance work, and maybe coming up with some strategies as to how those things could be done. So if we maybe could have a subcommittee that could meet with would that be appropriate to meet with your superintendent?
Or Derek or me.
Or
three of
you,
us.
anyway, all right, to meet with the public works people, to go over what kinds of things in the maintenance activities could be made a little more all user friendly for the streets.
Is this a funding question or it's just a project? Like, it's a, like,
Yeah, no, it's just, for example, we get complaints from time to time that they've paved my road, but they didn't make the shoulder better for bicycles
Oh.
and things like that, you know, or they are striping it, but they could have striped the bike lane or things like that. Or they put the guardrail in, but they put it so close to the edge of the road that now I can't ride my bike because there's no shoulder at all. So those are the kinds of things we could just talk with, begin a conversation. So I guess I'm looking for volunteers besides myself to have a meeting with Public Works. Hopefully we can get not just John and Derek, or John or Derek, but the maintenance, somebody from the actual maintenance people, because they might have a little different perspective when it comes to what they do. So anybody else want to volunteer to look at that? Kim, I know you're leaving, so you're excused.
Keep calling her Kim.
I know. It's the,
You
I
can,
get a
uh,
lot.
Christine,
I
I'm
know.
so sorry.
No, it's the
What is-
famous actress. It's the famous actress.
I'm
No,
so
I get it a
sorry.
lot.
I didn't even make that connection.
Yeah.
You
Did
can
we hear-
put my name down on that if you'd like.
You could do that, Alex?
Yeah.
All right, that's great. Thank you. Alex, and so we'll set something up. And probably between now and the next meeting, our next meeting, have some kind of a meeting to explore that. Okay, great.
Sounds good.
The next item is something having to do with making a complete streets team in Mansfield. In order for Mansfield, not that it's not a good idea, but in order to help Mansfield become a gold sustainable community.
What level are we now?
We're silver. And so to do that, they want us, or they want the town to set up a complete streets team have them actually trained, have them meet, have a outreach session with stakeholders who, from all different walks of life. And then,
That is. They set standards that you have to meet to get points, so it's basically to create that and meet these.
yeah, there's some training. And then there's also points for developing projects, plans, and doing a needs assessment. So there's a lot of things that can happen after the complete streets is made. So the question was posed to us, as if you read this memo, is would the Transportation Advisory Committee be interested in becoming or sponsoring or making part of the Complete Streets team for the town of Mansfield? So what do people think?
Would it be something we could combine with UConn with? Because isn't UConn also have a group that might be interested in this type of thing, or no?
For a sustainable CT, probably not, but I'm sure people from UConn could be on the team, I would think.
No, but aren't they interested in like?
Oh, yeah, no, but I'm saying it could be on the team. I just don't know
Yeah.
if
They
UConn
wouldn't,
applies for.
yeah, they're not a
sustainable CT or
sustainable community.
They would be
True.
part of this community. That's what I
Yes.
mean. Like, are there
Yeah.
people at UConn that might join through their administrative?
I think they could. I don't see a problem, as long as they're Mansfield residents, which.
They would have to be
Oh, I
Mansfield. They
don't-
couldn't do it as a part of their job. That's what I was wondering about, is because there are groups at UConn that are looking at this type of sustainability. And
I don't think doesn't say resident, just says a team.
Yeah, right.
community members could be people who work here, right?
Yeah,
Sure, sure. Well, it's kind of a big job, I guess is the way I look at it, because I'm not even sure how you get trained as a Complete Streets person.
Mhm.
I don't know where you go to get that training.
There aren't instructions you have to,
And maybe there's some reference
there's
in.
probably a specific training.
Yeah, but so there's that. And then the town already has a Complete Streets policy.
Mhm.
But and as far as I know, it's trying to they're trying to implement it whenever they can in the bigger projects that they do, example, South Eagleville Road. Which is the kind of project that town can get points for, and they list a whole bunch of them.
In the training, they probably would give the information about what is expected on the complete street, what is not expected. Small details that we probably are looking at a bigger picture. They might
Yeah,
give the
yeah,
small details that.
The T2 center might have some I don't know, but those are usually during the day, so some of
Right.
your team members may not be able to get out of work to go to training,
right.
but we can. maybe
But
that's
I
something we
guess-
can
I guess-
export.
We probably would need some additional people
Mhm.
who are passionate about this,
Yes,
because otherwise, if you don't have that kind of critical mass, it just won't go anywhere. So I don't know how we would recruit. I guess, well, we could ask the Committee on Committees to help us staff a subcommittee and call it the Complete Streets Team.
An ad hoc committee, is that the term?
yes.
Yeah, and it doesn't necessarily have to be part of the Transportation Advisory Committee, but it would be useful, I think, if we had a relationship.
Well, if they establish, they could say at least one member of this committee should be on there, and you could identify other committees in town that might be useful, and then also ask for townspeople that would be interested.
Yeah.
As a way to get other buy-in.
Yeah,
Because there's a sustainability
Yeah.
group too, right? So a member
Yeah.
from that, a member from this.
They're trying to have something in June timeframe. A couple years ago, we had an all committee meeting to talk
I
about
remember that.
sustainable CT.
There were snacks.
Yeah, So
June.
I think,
So they want this stuff by June?
no,
They're trying to have
I'm
another
saying-
one of those meetings.
we got like,
Oh,
we got
oh.
2 or 3 years for this. I think.
Okay, all right.
But they're gonna have one of those meetings, that might be a good time to bring it up to get volunteers for. If the town decides they wanna go for certification using these, because there's a bunch of other, we don't necessarily have to use
Right,
this, I don't
right.
think, if we don't get the interest, I mean,
Right.
there's other ways to get the gold. This is one we.
What does
Well-
getting the gold get us? I'm just
What's
curious. What does getting gold, like we're already silver status, what does becoming a gold?
Bragging rights, I think, plaque on the wall, more than, I don't think it gets
Gotcha.
you. You would think they tie it to getting grants and other things that,
That's true.
I don't think it is, because Sustainable CT is a nonprofit, they're not.
I wonder if it
Really?
would help get residents to want to move here or something, like it's a,
Yeah, it's definitely good for
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Well, what about running it by the Committee on Committees that we'd like to get some interested people who might be interested in
Right.
becoming part of the Complete Streets team.
Mhm.
If they're okay with that, then we could have your communications people
Right.
do a little communicating to the community about, are there people out there who would be interested in doing this?
so would we do an official request to someone to form an ad hoc committee from like this committee's recommendation would be to create an ad hoc committee for this?
I think,
Or we don't do that
well,
official?
well, no, I think, you know, if either staff or me goes to the Committee on Committees. Sam, are you still the chair of Committee on Committees?
I'm not actually. Ron Shuren is, and he has certainly done advertisements for volunteers specific for, various committees.
Right,
And I think he uses Sarah Ann, our town clerk, and others to
right,
kind of help facilitate some of that. I think that the request for staffing a Complete Streets committee for this gold sustainable level is so that it's not, we don't want it, I know that the mayor's very proud of being silver, and the gold standard is a new one that nobody has yet because it's just something they developed. But we don't want to just do it for the checking of the boxes. And so I think she's looking just, doesn't have to be staffed by the Transportation Advisory Committee, but maybe just created by, like you guys are talking about, an ad hoc. And certainly members from this committee could be there and others could as well, but we want to make sure that it is more than just a box that is checked, that it actually can kind of help us further our complete street goals and that sort of deal.
right, and the bike pedestrian plan that was just adopted calls for the town to produce a complete streets plan. So that both the town in terms of their project and the state in terms of their projects can pay attention to the plan, which my understanding is they will. So that would
I
be
agree.
two birds with one stone. So I guess the question to you, John and Sam, is how would we proceed? Rather than saying we want a committee, I'm more interested in finding out if anybody's interested.
Yeah,
If there's
that's what-
enough people interested, then we can either have an ad hoc committee or a separate committee or whatever, but
I think if we have this meeting that Ginny's trying to get with the town manager to put together, like we did 5 years ago, I think it was,
Mhm.
6,
5 years.
6, I think.
Oh my
Sarah
goodness.
Kennedy was the town manager, and
Right.
so we do that there, which if it's in June, we have all the committees in the, the council chambers, and we say, hey, one of the things, if we want to go for gold, we want to establish this complete street team, so we need people who are interested in this room, and then we get in, 4 or 5 out of that, then we can go out to get public, and I don't think they have to be vetted through Committee on Committees, I don't know, because it's really not
Right,
you know,
right, I'm just,
I don't know if there'd be voting or any of that even.
yeah, I'm just looking at, you know, do we have
Yeah,
4 or
well-
5 people in the community
That are
that are interested in it? I'm certainly interested, but you know, it's gotta be more than
Yes,
one person's ideas.
Right.
Okay. Then we did have a meeting with the Mansfield Downtown Partnership regarding a couple of complete street type things in the downtown area. One was reverse angle parking on, right, is that Wright's Way? No, that's
Wilbur Crossway.
Wilbur Crossway. And the other was closing dog lane between,
The bookstore and.
yeah, between the
195.
bookstore and
195.
195. So we had a preliminary meeting. There were some questions. And I would say a little reluctance, particularly with regards to the closing of dog lane. I guess that's come up before and people
Presented.
didn't think it was a great idea. And the reverse angle parking is a little bit tricky because while it works pretty well, I think it would work pretty well in that first section of Wilbur Crossway where Huskies is. It looks like it might not work as well down by the childcare center.
Mm.
Because the angle parking is only on one side. It's a pretty narrow lane there. And so that might be a little more difficult. But anyways, we had a meeting. I was gonna follow up with the executive director at some point of the downtown partnership,
you got 2 weeks.
but she's leaving.
Mm.
So I think for now, we're just gonna have to wait a little bit and see who the next executive director is and whether or not they are willing to tackle something like this.
I mean, instead of going all the way from the bookstore, you could just go from that little island. Just close that little segment of dog lane. That's right.
That's what we're talking, just along the town
So
square.
not the road. So there's that road that goes by, like, you turn left after CVS. And then you turn right onto dog lane. Are you closing that or are you closing just to go to the left?
Just off
Just from like,
Subway, front of Subway.
Subway to
Ah.
195,
Oh, that seems,
just making the square bigger.
yeah, that makes sense. So
Well,
who's against that? I just curious.
what they said is the neighborhood of Willowbrook was concerned, and this is quite a while ago, that people now wanting to go north on 195 would cut through Willowbrook to hit 195 at either Oak Hill or where Willowbrook hits 195. Because now you can come straight through dog lane and turn right.
Yes,
You can't turn left, but you can turn right.
right.
So if you want to go, if you close that, you'd have to turn left
On the,
on Roy Circle and then right on
Yeah,
CVS.
Bolton Road and then turn right.
yeah, it's true.
And so,
well, the other option is that,
Parking.
behind that, through the.
oh yeah, through the parking area.
Parking area.
Yeah, right.
Come out at the Bishop Center, come out by Mo's.
That's true, yeah,
I mean, it's not,
That's
it's
not a
a
great,
parking lot. It's not
yeah.
ideal, but-
right.
it's not a fast pass.
But you would hope people, if they're coming from that area, why would you not take Gurleyville?
Yeah, all the
I mean-
way. Yeah,
It's not, you're not gonna drive to downtown to go.
Right.
Well,
to
if
go
people on
north.
dog lane that would go that way. I mean,
that's right, right.
And that can't be that. people.
Yeah.
And most, if it's the people who live there in their cars are gonna be parked in the dog lane lot, so they're gonna go out to Bishop Way, or they're gonna be parked somewhere else and go out.
Yeah,
So I think that's
would it be worth doing it? I mean, do you do a traffic survey to see how many people we're talking about at this point or?
Well,
shut the road down for, movie night and things
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
We've never had any complaints from Willowbrook.
and my understanding is that the Willowbrook bypass, when the whole downtown went in and they were worried about it, never materialized. So that the constant stream of traffic that they thought was gonna come through the neighborhood hasn't happened. So, I mean, that's kind of where we are. I don't, at this point with a new executive director coming in, I would say, you know, we should just kind of back burner this until we have someone to talk to. All right, and then committee membership. We did get the new structure where the council and planning and zoning people who are on the committee don't count towards the quorum, and that's great. We had a quorum of 4 out of the 5 voting members. So I think that's great. Kim is leaving, so we're gonna need to replace.
Kim.
God, what is the matter with me?
I'm telling you, I get it. It's like I have family members that do it. It's true. I don't even, I'm like, oh, I know it. Fine.
Christine is leaving. So John says there is somebody, a resident that's already expressed some interest.
Yes.
And so you'll have committee on committees talk to them. I did talk to Michael Taylor about whether or not he wanted to continue. And although he travels a lot, he still wants to contribute. So at this point,
I don't think he's been in a meeting in 2 years.
yeah, it's been a while. I know he's had some health issues
Yeah.
too, so.
I mean, you can
Let's-
still attend as a non-voting member if we get a voting
Yeah.
member. It's up there. I mean,
Well, let's see. I thought he might be here. Usually when he can't be here, he emails us and says, I can't make the meeting.
they did email.
Oh, they did?
Catherine got the email.
Okay, because I didn't get it, so I didn't know if he was. So I don't know. I guess we'll should keep that on the agenda for potential action next time. And then, as I said earlier, the town's bicycle pedestrian plan finally got adopted after, was that 7 years of being considered and drafted and redrafted, so that's great. But the plan does call for a number of action items that probably the Transportation Advisory Committee should be helping with. But I don't have a finished plan yet. I had asked Derek for one and I don't know. Do you know if the finished plan is on the website yet?
I do not.
I'm guessing it isn't
I don't
because
look
that
at the
was it's
website.
fairly recent. So what I'd like to do is in the minutes, when the minutes go out, I'll put the link to the plan in the website. So that we can all have the additional plan or the adopted plan, and then we can list the calls for action. And then at a future meeting, we can decide, okay, which of these do we really want to do? Does the Transportation Advisory Committee want to weigh in on? Because I haven't had time since it was adopted to go through and figure out what all those goals or action items are. And we should have those in front of us at a meeting where we say, yeah, let's do this, or let's not do this, or whatever. So if that's okay with everybody, I'll put that off to a,
Find the draft on the website, so maybe they just have to update it to not say draft anymore.
yeah, and I'm not sure there were any last minute typos or things like that. I know they were working on the spacing of some of the tables at the last I knew of it. So we'll list action items for TAC review. Okay. Any other questions on old business? All right. New business first, I guess, is update on current and planned transportation projects. John, is that you?
Yeah, most of it's not changed since the January meeting, but I'll go through them again. So the town has 2 grants for LOTSIP, Local Transportation Capital Improvement Program. to redo Maple Road, reconstruct Maple Road, and to install a multi-use pathway along it. So that's gonna go all the way from
So
275 all the way down past the middle school, even up to the intersection with Clover Mill and Spring Hill.
Okay.
And when we get down to the school, the state is requiring right now to put the path on both sides of Spring Hill. When
Really?
we get to
Wow.
Maple, Spring Hill intersection,
So Maple Road will have only one.
one side.
Okay.
Right now, it's the west side, and I think it's definitely gonna end up being the west side. And
West
then
side.
when you get down to the stop sign where you turn left on Spring Hill, or you go straight on Spring Hill, the main path, we want you to cross over and go towards the school there, and then they said they wanted one on the other side. Some of the residents, we had a public hearing or public information session, some of the residents that down there didn't see a need for it on both sides of the road, so we may go back to the state and ask if we do or don't, but then somebody had a thing saying, well, if I'm gonna bike on that, I'd rather stay straight and not have to go over and go to the other
Right.
side.
Right.
So we'll see how it goes, but
Okay.
I'd say most people were receptive to it.
Okay.
And we are still working on Community Challenge Grant, which is out here on South Eagleville Road, making that a boulevard road, which means it'll have a median down the center of it. We'll have the crosswalks that are mid-block at Eastwood and Westwood. We'll have the RRFBs, rapid rectangular flashing beacon, or rectangular rapid. I always forget which R goes first, but those things you're pressing, it has the little lights, and we're gonna put one in the middle of the island, because I've noticed out here, the ones that the state put in, people don't notice them on the side of the road, so if we can put one in the middle of the island, I think it would help.
Okay.
And that'll also have a multi-use path on the south side. There's a path there now, but it'll be wider, and I think that's 5 feet over there now, and the new one will be 8 feet.
Yep.
And let's see what else is on there. We have our designer looking at a roundabout at Maple and 275, but there's no funding for it, but we'll see. We've got at least an estimate of what the cost is and maybe try to get a grant.
Yep.
And we're still, the state, our CROG did a roundabout survey, and 44, 195 came out on their survey as a potential roundabout. And we like that. We also have to put one at 320 and 195. So it'd be 2 roundabouts. CROG had some extra money, so they asked their contractor to take a look at it to study the feasibility of it, because DOT was concerned that they thought you'd have to have a 2-lane roundabout on at least the
Mhm.
south approaching, which I disagree, because all those roads are single lane until
Yeah.
you get to the intersection. They're
That's
only
right.
wide at the intersection because of the lights, so
Right,
I think
right.
it would work. They're all over. The Cape has roundabouts everywhere, and they seem to work well.
Roundabout, you can only go right. That's
Yes.
about it.
And we're working on paving. So this summer, we're gonna be doing the rest of Browns. It's not paved recently in September, because we're in the area. Then Elizabeth, Brookside, and Hickory got elevated because we found some huge sinkholes in some of the drainage on Elizabeth. And there's a bridge project going in soon, so we didn't want to not do that. And when they're doing the bridge, luck would have it that sinkhole would open up, and then the people on Brookside would be
Not happy.
not have anywhere to get out, so we elevated that. And then the council had a lot of people come in about Coventry Road, the unpaved section of it, and looks like right now what's in the budget is to put in some geofabric and geogrid to make it a better gravel road, but it will remain a gravel road for now. But that has to go through all the budget process. And I think that's it.
Okay. And in our packet, there was the preliminary plan, schematic plan
Yeah,
for
that's-
Gurleyville.
I didn't want to jump to C unless you want me to.
Oh, I didn't realize that was separate on the agenda. Sorry.
That's all right. Yeah, a lot of that. That's separate. So,
All right, any questions on the planned transportation projects at this point? All right. Next is active transportation updates. I also volunteer with the Yukon Bicycle Working Group, which meets once a month. And they've been working with their planning and design people, construction planning and design. And have gotten them, last year they got them, or a year and a half ago, they got them to do an active transportation plan for the campus. And now the design and construction people applied for a grant, a RAISE grant, RAISE, that's an acronym for something, of $2.2 million to do a whole bunch of kind of walking and bicycling improvements on the campus. And so that's great. I don't know if they're going to get that grant, but those grants come through the Capital Region Planning, Capital Region Council of Governments. And that's a better shot, I think, than a straight DOT grant,
Yes.
because they massage the grants and know who the contact people are. So we're very optimistic with that. So I just bring that up is that if that comes through, then maybe some of the bicycle friendliness of the Yukon campus will get elevated quite a bit. Okay, John, what's going on your
Good.
Curlyville Road thing? Or what's the plan?
So the main thing is the bottom right corner of that handout. I highlighted it here, but so the existing roadway is 9.5 to 10.5 foot wide travel lanes and a 0.5 to 6.5 shoulders, and proposed walkways, 2 10-foot travel lanes, so narrowing it down, and 2 5-foot bike lane shoulders. So it's gonna look, the bridge at Gurleyville on Gurleyville is gonna look a lot different. And it's gonna be, it needs to do this because of the PED bike plan. We need to have the bike lane shoulders. So
On the
they're
bridge.
On the bridge.
Yeah, that bridge is treacherous.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
just wanted to bring it forward here so it doesn't get, when we get to the final design or preliminary design, that people are up in arms. Like, so if this group doesn't like it, let us know. If you like it, then I think we're reading the room correctly.
as long as it's a 10-foot travel lane, that's fine with me. If you make it a 12-foot travel lane and then a 5-foot shoulder,
Yeah, that,
then, then it becomes really big.
yes, and the speed will
Yeah.
increase.
So I presume they're going to straighten it out a little bit.
A little, we had hoped we could straighten out a lot, but I guess because of land and all that, we were hoping you could almost keep the old bridge while you built the new bridge, but we can't do that, but they
Yeah.
are.
Well, that curve does slow people down a little bit, so I'm not opposed to the fact that it's not gonna be perfectly straight. But
Is it clear if those shoulders are going to be elevated like a sidewalk, or it's just painted shoulders?
Oh, I think it's just painted, but I don't know off the top of my head.
yeah, I don't think it's a sidewalk. I think it's
That
a
just a shoulder.
shoulder 5 foot wide. So that's better in terms of bicycling
And walking.
and walking, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. People stand on that bridge and fish too, so
Yeah, I
give them a
know.
little clearance.
They shouldn't be standing in the bike lane.
Right.
Correct.
Okay, so
the
the-
fishing from the bridge.
As the plans come up, we'll get a look at them, right, before you're.
Yeah, there's 4 bridges getting replaced in town that 100% covered by the state and the federal government. So they took advantage. One of our old interns was working for a firm and said, "Hey, have you heard about this program?" And so it helped having an intern that,
Yeah,
who also lives in town, so.
right.
Well,
How many bridges does town have? 13? I don't remember.
It's something I
Yeah.
don't know off the top of my head. It's probably a number I should know off the top of my head, but I don't.
Well, when I was here, I think we did replace or work on all 13 of them, so. I think
Okay.
it's certainly due to start the process over again. Is Atwoodville getting replaced?
Yes. Atwoodville, Old Turnpike, Curlyville. And Juniper Lane, which is the one that goes in the Brookside. And then,
Route 89.
and then the one between, on our Coventry and Coventry Road calls it Depot Road, that's getting replaced, but that's technically under the town of Coventry, so.
Route 89 also has a bridge, a signal light. After Juniper, little bit.
The. Mount Hope Bridge,
Is it? Yeah.
yeah, I don't know that, I don't think I qualified.
That's a big one.
And that's a truss bridge too.
Yeah, truss.
But
Right.
these you had to be on the list, you know, that it was deemed needed repair and.
Right,
And we tried to do Bassett's Bridge and that didn't make it, because Bassett's Bridge, the one that we have to close all the time, we'd like to make that. Where you don't have to close the road. whenever it
Right.
floods.
so it was Gurleyville, Atwoodville, Juniper, Depot, and what's?
Old Turnpike,
Old Turnpike.
Where's that?
not Depot for us, it's our Coventry, it's Coventry calls it Depot on the other side.
Yeah, right. But
There's
they're
a-
taking the lead
railway
on,
line, Just after the railway line.
so for us, it's just,
44, right?
it's just four, right?
Yeah.
No.
You said the other one's in Coventry.
It's, if you drive on our Coventry Road, you go off Browns, go on Coventry Road.
Yeah.
You hit 32, go straight, there's a little 1-lane bridge that's getting replaced.
It's between the two towns,
Towns. So it's technically
So-
under the purview of the town of Coventry.
Coventry,
For the funding, but they got the same thing, the same.
yeah, okay. All right, any other questions on those? Any other business? Any reports from members?
Scroll up the agenda.
Next meeting, unless we have something we have to meet about, would be the, what is it, this second
Wednesday.
Wednesday of
July.
July.
April, May, June. Or no, it's a quarter, yeah, July.
So that would be July. Has anybody got a calendar handy?
Yeah. July 10th. They're all on the 10th this year.
Yeah,
I remember.
okay.
This is
Um,
a leap year probably.
Yes.
Is there any other business?
I could motion to adjourn if that's the case.
Okay,
Second the motion to adjourn.
so that's Bruder and Noack. I got your last name.
I know, that's why you have trouble with first name.
Well, thank you,
All
Christine.
right, well, thank you all for coming. Have a good spring.
Good luck with
You
the
too,
move,
thank
Christine.
you.
Yeah, Alex.